of all of the videos that I made recently about the state of world affairs and the fact that every country has got their finger on the button, or perhaps their thumb. And the Bear Country recently turned on their system that used to be called WoodPecker, which was a Cold War uh, scanner, an immense scanner that essentially used the Earth's ionosphere, bouncing the signal along the Earth's ionosphere to scan the Earth, looking for changes in temperature and pressure and all of this other stuff so that they could be the first to launch the BOMB if things got into it. And so we're right back to the edge of the precipice. And I made a couple of videos about soul salvation and how important it is. But I'll get comments like, Pop, why don't you sit up? You know, all of your videos are you lying in bed. You know, just insensitive, cold-hearted comments from people that don't know, you know, that don't bother to really know me. And the fact that I've been prisoner in my room for 5 years after this little joker came up behind me, snuck up behind me like a coward, and he said he didn't like gringos, so that I had triggered him into punching me in the spine as hard as he could. Most painful thing that I'd ever had happen in my life, more painful than car accidents or getting my finger cut off. And just amazes me how people are so insensitive. And I'll go to that person's YouTube page and click on it, click on about the person. It'll say joined YouTube in 2011, all the way back to 2011. And they have no creativity of themselves, no videos that they've made. See, because it's critics are like that. They get their jollies criticizing other people, but they're cowardly in and of themselves because they're afraid that they'll get criticized if they post something. So they really are keyboard cowards, you know. But in any case, like I said, I made the last videos trying to appeal to people for their soul salvation because I can see what's coming. We're in the calm before the storm. And after this election, which won't make any difference at all in slowing things down, but after this election will be the last chance of recovering America and slowing the degradation that's taking us right into the gutter in this country. So it makes me sad for you young people. It gratifies me as an older person who loves the Lord that knows that I won't be around for it. So I'm not going to stand up too long in this wheelchair because it's intensely painful. If you ever go to Wheelchair Dad and see Dan on his channel, and he's actually crying because the wheelchair is so painful, because the body, the circulation gets cut off to the lower part of the body, and the body will send a strong pain message saying, hey, you better do something about this or else you're going to lose something. So it's painful, it's frightening. I never thought that I would have suffered this much. Never did I think that I'd be suffering like this. Begging people, begging people to hit the like and subscribe so I could monetize my channel and have the dignity of affording the things that I need rather than having to beg people, you know, to do me the favor of going to my Amazon link or my PayPal link. You know, if they would just do the simple thing of pressing the like button, I wouldn't even need to bother to ask people because I'm that close to getting my channel monetized. And it's frustrating considering the fact that when people ask me for prayer and help, you know, I've sent people stuff like when the hurricane happened in Louisiana the last time. I sent this huge generator down there with all the trimmings. I sent the generator and a carbon monoxide detector and a cable to run the electricity into the house and another cable to keep the generator from being stolen and a box of cookies to the family and never got thank you, kiss my butt, go to hell from anybody, which is okay, you know. And it's just one of those times I'm not really worried about it because I know this world isn't my home. And when I finally get home, God will be glad to see me. I'll be glad to see him. And as usual, the interference while I'm trying to make a video. So, in any case, uh, the reason I wanted to make this particular video was to honor somebody who really was the love of my life. And it was a tragedy. It was an absolute tragedy because the lady married my brother. And my whole life, I had to stand back and be faithful to my brother and be faithful to this lady by not interfering in their lives or trying to subvert anything or supplant anything or doing anything surreptitiously, you know, that would break up their marriage, which it did anyway, had nothing to do with me. But the lady made this song that was so beautiful. And she made the mistake of going over to my relative's house to demonstrate the song, demo the song for everybody. And they literally almost laughed in her face. I hate the idea of this song dying with me because it has the potential. It's just like the song Dark Side Calling from Eddie and the Cruisers, where Wordman, you know, plays the song the first time and everybody laughs at him, but Eddie sees the potential. It's similar to that, where this song has so much potential. I have to go pretty soon because it's getting too painful to sit in the wheelchair. But this song has so much potential, and this lady has more names than Tammy Faye Baker. Uh, her name is Karen Lee Armstrong Wilson Taylor Bucksbaum Hauk. She's got one more name. She's got one more name now, but I don't know what it is because she's married to somebody else. But it was an absolute tragedy that I love this lady so much and was never able to um, let her know or fulfill my love. Just a tragedy. like a Shakespeare tragedy. Karen, Lee, Armstrong, Wilson, Taylor, Buxbaum, Hauk. I'm missing one of the names. Karen, Lee, Armstrong, Wilson, Taylor, Buxbaum, Hauk. Anyway, there's one more name that I can't remember. But she wrote this song. It was called My Reverie. And really pretty song. I wish somebody would take this song and run with it. It goes like this. We used to talk, communicate. I can remember when all was give and take. I recall the tears, but mostly laughter. I can even recall the first morning after. But here I am, recalling all my doubts, like I'm doing now. I messed that up. But now I'm here, recalling all my doubts, like I'm doing now. And then it just fell out of my mind, that next part. But now I'm here, recalling all my doubts, like I'm doing now. And then the chorus is, you can't fill the void you left me in, and you can't climb on someone else's dream. So why do I feel my memory's incomplete? And why do I still need to compete? The answer is clear, we're starting over as friends. We're starting over as friends. I wish I could recall the second part of the song. So now I'm here recalling all my doubts, like I'm doing now. And then the next line, it's weird, it just dropped out of my head. And I hate that about getting older, where I still have the spirit of a young person, you know. And I don't think that I look that bad for a person who's the better part of a century old that got run down by a recycling truck and then karate chopped in the spine by this illegal alien who, by the way, I had mercy on. I didn't call the cops on the guy because he would have gotten deported, because I knew that he had a wife and a child, you know, that suffers because he's such a lunkhead that he's got this old blue pickup truck that he puts every dime in when he has a spare penny, and his wife and his child go without. And he's always buying new tires for the pickup truck and putting dingleberries in the window and some sort of expression in Spanish on the back window, telling the rest of the world what they should do when he's not living his life right. That kind of thing. A real lunkhead. But I didn't call the cops on him. I was merciful. And now I have to wear diapers like a 2-year-old baby because of what he did to me. I've been 5 years prisoner of my room. You know, it's scary when I've needed to be taken someplace, 2 ambulance crews, and $1,000 later, I get transported. And people nowadays have this cold-hearted look, like they could care less if you fall off the gurney or anything. It's very terrifying. And I exercise every day. The top part of me is strong enough where I can scoop my legs into the wheelchair. I can scoop my legs back into the bed and climb up. I've fallen on the floor a couple of times, and it really takes a lot of energy when you only have your arms to lift yourself up onto a bed that's 3.5 or 4 feet off the floor, you know. So the one thing I would say to my critics, those of you keyboard cowards that like to type in some nasty little ism, is that I've known people that made fun of people who were handicapped or made fun of people who had a speech impediment, like Luis Santiago, who's a wonderful man of God, and he's got a wonderful couple of channels, Grand Supreme News. Hardworking, works several jobs along with his channel. But in any case, for you keyboard cowards, God's not mocked and there's no hiding from God. And this one guy that I knew that made fun of handicapped people got up on a ladder and the ladder split in half and dumped him on the ground. And now he's handicapped himself. So you want to be careful, fam. You young people, you want to be careful because karma is a real stinker. And the other thing is, if when you type something into the World Wide Web, it's there forever. And you see on the news all the time these people that typed something in and then they went to look for a job and it was found out that they were racist or bigots or, this phobe or that kind of phobe, So you want to be really careful because once you type that stuff in on the web, it's there for good. And even if you delete it, it's not deleted from the cloud. And the cloud can rain on you. But in any case, I'm going to go. I appreciate those of you, Terry and Katrina and Laura and Justin and Dibble Craftian, James Brown, Jonathan Brown, and all of the others that have been so gracious in buying me the disposables and the old people piddle pads and diapers and stuff like that. I really appreciate it. God will bless you for it. And it's not where anybody is sending me the money and I'm wasting it, on anything, because if you send me a pack of diapers, it's a pack of diapers. I mean, it's not like I'm gonna go out and trade a pack of diapers for some blow or something like that. But it really amazes me how people can be for you 1 minute and then smack you down the second. So I guess that's another reason why I stay pretty much to myself. But I'm grateful for the good Lord. Man, Raj, even though he grumps on me, he's always been there for me. He's always been there for me. I thank God for my YouTube friends and family. James has come by a couple of times. James helped me out to get the new mattress put on my bed. And he brought me this wonderful Thanksgiving feast, which was like 3 meals. It took me the better part of 2.5 days to finish it all off. So I'm embarrassed to say that I didn't get his plasticware back to him. But I told God how thankful I was for everybody this morning. And like Patrick Starr said, We'll sit up when you make a video, you know. And I hope, Patrick, that that karma doesn't bite you in the ass, for the insensitivity of, like I said, I pray for people. I ask people to come to Christ while there's time, because the tribulation period is fast looming, and it's going to be a horrible time of just trying to get by, to pay your bills and eat. All these kooky world luminaries that think that uh, NUCLEAR, war, WAR, can be survived, and all the kooks that think that if everybody pushes a button, that the energy from the BOMBS going off at the same time will open this portal into the unknown. It sure will. If you press a button and set off a umpteen megaton, BOMB, you're going to be blasted into another dimension in little teeny bits and pieces. But these people are all kooky. They think that it'll bring in some utopia, or it'll bring in the Mahdi, And then there are others that are literally trying to use something like CERN to tow the landmass out from under Antarctica to a better climate, so that they can repopulate that huge continent that lies under Antarctica. These one worlders, they think it's such a realm above and beyond the normal person, that it just sounds spectacularly unreal what they're trying to do. But a lot of what they have tried to do has come true, like CERN pushing the ionosphere further out into space. But what they won't tell you about that is the further that our ionosphere is pushed into space, the more at risk we are of the solar winds carrying off Earth's water and turning us into another Mars. Now, I personally believe that when we get to Mars, and I believe we will, that they're going to find out that there used to be humanoid life on Mars, and that we screwed Mars all up, and there'll be some sort of hieroglyphics that'll say, well, we saw this planet called Earth, third from the sun, and we're heading over there now. I have the oddest feeling, because they think that they found structures and pyramids and stuff on Mars. So that won't happen in my generation, but we live in amazing times. It's a shame, with technology being so fantastic, that there are always those that want to pervert technology and use it for their own glorification at the expense of everybody else. In any case, fam, I said my piece. Like I said, if one of you wants to finish that song, be my guest, because as long as you give Karen Lee, Armstrong, Wilson, Buxbaum, Taylor, Houck credit for the song, I'm good with that. It was a beautiful song the night she sang it, but she sang it in front of the wrong people, and they crushed her spirit. It's so sad how people can do that to another person, instead of taking a little bit of effort and saying, well, you could tweak this song here, tweak it there, like that Eddie and the Cruisers movie, and really come up with something special. The the naysayers, they're a self-fulfilling prophecy, because they're like, you can't do this, you can't do that. And if you try and do something, they criticize it, because they're always right in their criticism, because they have cut the other person off from their success. And that's why I believe, like the word says, if you got something good going on, don't tell a whole bunch of people about it, because they won't. Yeah, I look differently because I shaved down here, and I've got my Banana Republic shirt on. If you don't know the symbolism of the shirt, we're in a banana republic. We're in a one party system. And like I said, the election is not going to make any difference at all. And it's really getting painful for me to sit up in the wheelchair at this point. But I forgot what I was going to say when you typed in your message. But what do you think is going to see? You just hopped in on the end of my live stream. I already said minutes ago that the election isn't going to make any difference. So why worry about it? It's not going to make any difference. It's going to be a woman this time around. It's either going to be Nikki Haley. The one person that could really help this country would be Candace Owens. If Candace Owens ran, I would be satisfied that this country could be reclaimed, could be snatched from the fire. But I guarantee you it's going to be Nikki Haley. Trump doesn't have a snowball's chance in heck, because he's an antagonist and he likes to be an antagonist. And he recently stuck his foot in his mouth by saying that the immigrants were poisoning the very blood of America. That was a big time mistake to say that. And I saw this video of this immigrant, and he went to this man for a job, somebody who he thought was his friend. And he went to the guy and he said, look, I got my paperwork, I got my visa, I'm learning English, I'm ready to work, I got my family here, I'm renting and paying taxes. And the other guy cut him off and he said, well, we don't have a job for you. And then the guy hops on the internet and he's like, well, who does this guy think he is to come to this country and take a job from somebody else? And he butted to the head of the line, and he got his visa and all of that. That stuff takes an awful lot of ass kissing to get your visa and all of that other stuff. I can tell you, I went with my main man when he applied for his citizenship. And you gotta bend over and kiss some butt and all of this stuff to, they imply that it's easier than it really is. It's not. And you have to study, and then you have to, take a test as to why you're going to be a good citizen and all of that other stuff. And believe me, the real bad actors will be kicked out. They will get to them in time. But the fact of the matter is that these politicians have spent us so far into bankruptcy that their only choice now is to import a lot of people into this country. And then after the election, give all of them a tax ID and make all of them pay taxes immediately through the FedNow system. They'll do away with cash. And what will happen is when you go to work, your company will pay the government. The government will take their money out first, and then they will pay you on a credit card or, mark of the beast or whatever through the Fed Now system. That's what's coming. So the election is the last hurdle that people have to get through before the final takeover of this country. And you figure that the Chinese have already toured the Pentagon. Why would officials from Red China be touring our Pentagon, our Defense Department? Think about it. All of the access that they have now. They have access to everything. They know everything. They did a real slow flyby with their spy balloon, which could have been stopped in Alaska, and it wasn't shot down until it went from Alaska all the way over to North Carolina. We were lied to. They said that the balloon couldn't be controlled, and it was controlled, and it stayed over our missile silos for a good long time while they mapped out all of the silos. That doesn't even make sense. You're saying I'm the second guy that knows English. I have no idea. I have no idea what you mean by that. So, fam, it's just so sad that the keyboard warriors and the keyboard cowards are down in mommy and daddy's basement thinking of some idiocy to type into the chat. When, like I said, one thing, everybody in the world's got their finger on the button, and you better worry about your soul's salvation, because when the rapture happens and the tribulation begins, you're going to be in 7 years of hell on earth. But they're like, playing Grand Theft Auto and waiting for mommy and daddy to call them upstairs to beg them to come eat their dinner. And a lot of these people are adults. I mean, 30 and 40-year-old people living with mommy and daddy. I was on my own from 8 years old. I was earning a living for myself. I was more or less a visitor at my parents' home. And when things would get really intense, I would bounce and go hang out in downtown, buy my meals and hang out with the hookers and the other street people. And a lot of the street people were very nice. I remember one time sitting on a bench in 107-degree heat, and the other street people bought a bottle of water, and they gave me first chance at the water. And there's street people etiquette. Now I could have taken that bottle of water and guzzled it down myself and backwashed into that water. But I was very careful to hold the water up and pour it into my mouth so I could pass the bottle on to the next person and thank them copiously for spending their money to get me a bottle of water. That's the kind of stuff that God is going to say, well done, my good and faithful servant, for. We'll get to heaven and that person will have a reward for getting old Pop the bottle of water and letting me have first crack at it. Those kind of kindnesses. But instead, like I said, these keyboard warriors and keyboard cowards, are, instead of thinking about the big picture of soul salvation and preparedness for what's coming, they're like, well, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? Or why don't you sit up and make your video instead of being in bed? And all of these trivial things. So they're the ones that are going to be caught when the stuff hits the fan. They're the ones that are going to be short when the stuff hits the fan. And it's all nature taking its course, because we're doing so much against nature. You know, we're aborting healthy babies, and then babies that are sickly, we'll put them in incubators and put them in the NICU for 4 or 5 or 6 months. And I don't mean any offense to anybody who's got a baby in intensive care. I'm just saying that our society is going against nature. Nature always has the strongest survive, and we're eliminating the strongest, and we're doing all of these things to pervert children and to pervert the food by making genetically modifying plants so that the plant produces its own pesticide. And then when a bee comes down to land on the plant to pollinate that plant, the bee drops over DEAD because the plant makes its own pesticide. And then the cows eat that plant, and the cow winds up with stomach cancer. People eat the plant and food, and then all of a sudden they have all of these allergies to gluten and all that other stuff, that never existed before. It's a mess. We've made a big mess of this world. We've made a big mess. And the only one who's going to bring peace to this world will be the Prince of Peace, Jesus Christ, when he comes back after this final WW3. But like I said, it makes me so sad for you young people, because you've been fed a lot of BS and lies, and it's just smoke and mirrors, bread and circuses. They want you to concentrate on football games and video games and all of this other stuff. They want you to be asleep at the wheel. And fam, you young people who want to turn this country over to a global third party that you can't vote for, you don't know who they are, but you figure, well, we'll just hand the country over in a bloodless coup, and that way nobody gets hurt or anything. Nothing could be further from the truth. When it finally comes out about how treasonous these people are up on the Hill, there are going to be those that are not going to be willing to just give their stuff over. So you can forget about that. I probably won't be here by the time that happens. But you young people, you're like, well, we're going to hand America over, and it's going to be the United States, the United Nation States of America, where America is going to go from being a sovereign country to being a nation state in the global government, which we're already there. Both the UN and the US have articles of the WAR Powers Act where they can come in and take whatever they want. They can take your gasoline, your car, your furniture, your food, your weapons, anything they want if they declare a martial law or whatever, like they did down in Louisiana, and they busted in on people and took their weapons away so that people, one lady was an old woman, and she put on her garage, she said, I have a dog and a GUN. That was just what the feds needed to go and knock on her door. And she refused to give up her GUN, and they gave her the beat down and took it from her and then put her onto a bus, kicking and screaming, dragged her out of her house and put her on a bus to nowhere. That stuff is coming, fam. That stuff is coming. And it's just not me saying it. It's very credible people like Canadian Prepper. Nate is very articulate, smart. He's brilliant. He's a brilliant young man. He's not brilliant in that he's an atheist agnostic. He's not brilliant about his soul's salvation. And I pray for him every day that he will understand the historicity of the Word of God and the veracity of the Bible through fulfilled prophecy. But in any case, you have Canadian Prepper, you have Redacted, which is a very credible channel. I watch Wehan Gravitas, which is Indian news, because they don't have any reason to lie about America. They don't have any reason to lie about America. And I watch BBC News, and then I watch Behold Israel, Amir Sarfati. But fam, I personally believe since Russia is getting really ticked off at all of the sabotage and everything that's happening in Moscow and all of that, I personally believe that Russia is going to lash out relatively soon. And that when they do, they'll start with England, because England has given men and equipment to the yellow and blue country. And if Russia NUKES England, it won't have any substantial impact on the world economy. And being an island, it's far enough away from the mother bear country that the fallout would be very minimalist by the time it gets to them. And the third reason, if they NUKE Britain, they will be sending a message to the rest of the world that they mean business. So I'm just personally saying, that's my personal view on the thing, is that the real big time boom boom is going to start with England. So in that movie Threads is going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. But back in 1986, when the Chernobyl power station, showered radiation all over the Ukraine and Belarus and all of that. And now today you have people moving back in there, and they have their Geiger counters so they can figure out what spots are really hot and avoid them. But there's lots of people living in that area now, mostly old people. So these world elites have figured, well, it was only 30 years since Chernobyl, 30 plus years since Chernobyl. So that means we can BOMB the whole world and start over again in a few years, crawl out of our bunkers to this wonderful utopia that they have planned. And I'll tell you, fam, if I had a choice of being stuck in a bunker with Jerry Nadler and with sniffy, whiffy, creepy Uncle Joe, and with Hillary and all of the other pukes, excuse me, I had a cough. I would want to just stand out in the open and get that 15,000 degree sunburn and blow away like a leaf in the wind would be my choice between the two, of being stuck down in a bunker with those things. So yes, I'm very opinionated, and I don't ever try and hurt people with my comments or anything, but some people nowadays are just so despicable, and then others are so small-minded and pig-headed that they get on their little keyboards and they're gonna like slice up with their words on their keyboards. So, but the only person that I'm worried about is my relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ, and everybody else can do what they need, they feel they need to do, but there are consequences. So I'm gonna go. Don't forget, if you want to help me out with some diapers or old people piddle pads or a little bit of candy or something like that. I always appreciate it. I've been faithful in praying for you. Even some of you that uh, like to give me a hard time, because I know that those of you that I've had patience with that have trolled me uh, in the past have actually come around to seeing the light of day and have turned out to be pretty faithful followers of my channel. And I get it. I get it. You're a little bit crisp and all of that. And I can take it. You know, I lived with my father for 15 years while he was using me for an ashtray to crush his cigarette out on, and all of the other really nasty, perverted, dirty things that he did to me when I was a kid. But like Captain Kirk said, I need my pain. My pain is part of who I am. And these people who say that mommy and daddy didn't love them, so they go out and smoke a whole school and stuff like that, you know, because that's their excuse. I turned out to be somebody with the love of God and empathy for other people. You know, I know how it is to get the beat down. I know how it is to have somebody hold a knife in my belly. I know how it is to have somebody take a drag on a cigarette and get it nice and orange, and then touch it to your body. I still have the spot. I still have the spot on my. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that, but I still have the spot. So I don't want to show you my old man hairy belly, because then you'll start calling me Harry Belafonte or Harry Belly something. Anyway, I'm gonna go. I hope the good Lord blesses you and keeps you and gives you a real nice day. So for those of you that think you're on your own, you're not. The good Lord loves you even in spite of yourself. And remember, you do have a pop right here if you need me. I'm outie.